All right, this video we're going to introduce you to the page.php. We've got this home page set up and looking pretty much correct, but we also want to have an about page which looks slightly different. John, if we look at the about page here, what are some things that you notice that are different about it?
Well, the about page isn't going to have this, or the about page has this like top header area, and obviously it has this. I don't know if it has this footer too. I guess the home page probably has that, but
yeah, they do have the footer is in common. This contact call to action,
right,
and the footer are in common to every page, and then these pages, the blog, portfolio, and contact have this top area here, which is just called the div class of top.
It's basically a top header that pulls the title.
Yeah, but at the home page, it's called intro.
Right.
So it looks a little different, and this has kind of different content. You couldn't just put this content into a WYSIWYG editor. You have to make a custom page template.
So you're going to have a template for the home page and then a template for everything else, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly right. Template for all the basic pages. So what it'll also do is when someone comes to create a new page, it'll basically have this layout.
Right, so it'll create a new page that has this about header or whatever.
Right,
and
they
display
can say
the title dynamically.
Yeah, John's page or Joe's page or whatever.
Cool.
It's going to display that in here, and then it'll also have this pretty formatting so that everything looks, formatted correctly. So the first thing we're going to do is what you need to create to have for any new pages you create, you'll create a page.php template. And we talk about this. We'll talk about this a little bit more later about the template hierarchy. That's what it's called, right? The template hierarchy, which is the way that WordPress determines which template file it'll use for which type of page. But just for starters, when you create a new page, it's going to look first to page.php. So let's go ahead and create a new file in here called page.php.
The page.
And let's the page, and then let's put in the common elements that we know are going to be in this. So first of all, it's going to have a header. So we're going to say PHP, the header.
I'm guessing maybe a footer.
I think so. Let's add a footer. So that's going to have our pretty common elements here. And then we also, the header is basically set up to be this area right here, but we also want to have this top thing, which is on every page. So let's just copy the content inside of here real quick so that we at least have the basic look of this. Let's copy this top HTML and put that after the header.
So what you're copying right there is that header area that's going to display that title later on.
Right, exactly. So let's just put this in here. We're not pulling any dynamic page content yet. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead and create an about page. And this is the about page. Publish it and view this page.
Uh-oh.
Call to undefined function, the header.
Line 1, so...
Oh, well, that's pretty...
LTPHP.
Well, we used the wrong code here. Wonderful example of why working from your memory all the time doesn't work. So I've already shown this to you in other places, but this is get header and get footer, not the header.
We both looked at it, neither of us saw it. So
yeah, so change that to get header and get footer, and that'll fix your error. I say with a little bit of hope. Okay, this is looking exactly right, except it says about here. That's not pulling dynamically. That's just because in our page template we have it saying about. So we need to make that dynamic, and then we also need to make it pull this page content, this is the about page. So let's do that. In order to do that, you already know the answer to this, but what do we need to put in here to make it pull dynamic page content?
Well, anytime you're pulling content from a new page, you need a loop.
You need the WordPress loop. And where will we put the WordPress loop in this case?
I'm going to say around all the content we have here. So starting at the top here and then all the way to the bottom before the footer, because everything including that title where it says about now is going to have to be pulled dynamically, right?
Right. So if this were just going to be left as static content, this was the same on every page, you could leave it with outside of the loop because it doesn't need to pull anything dynamic, but since it needs to pull something dynamic, we have to put it inside of the loop.
And even if we put PHP, the title there, and it wasn't inside the loop, it wouldn't know what to do with it, would it?
Right. So let's look up the WordPress loop let's click on it and grab this code snippet, which says the loop starts here, and we'll paste that on in.
We're not going to go over this too much in depth here. We go over it lots of times throughout this video, so
right. This is code you're going to use a lot. We're going to go a lot more into depth about the loop, but this is the part that you. It's good to just get your feet wet. Was it? Is that what's the word? Get feet dirty, just to jump in and use it, because you see this all the time in every single dynamic WordPress theme. You're going to have to get used to it. Just become familiar with it and use the code snippet. Like
basically, if you're pulling content from the page, you have a loop that surrounds that content. One big loop.
Right.
That's really the long and short of it.
I'm commenting this out. Feel free to comment it with your own words, and then grab the ends here part of the loop and paste it below the content area. So, and this is ends of the WordPress loop. Well, we're big time into gaming, and we just sometimes have trouble with our elite speak here. Ends the WordPress loop. That was funny, right?
No, I actually laughed a little bit.
Okay, so let's make this a little bit dynamic starting off. We've done this a couple times before, but what do we use here to make, instead of its call about, it needs to call whatever page title we put in on whatever new page we create.
Maybe the title?
Yeah. So this is a PHP function, so let's open and close our PHP tags. And then the WordPress function for the title is just the title. It's not get title, it's the title.
I was curious.
Okay, so let's update this. This should actually be exactly the same. So
Yay.
It's getting the title, but let's, just to make sure this is working right, we can create another page real quick. Whoops. Well, it doesn't matter what I call it, but new page. This is a new page.
We're going to get even typing course soon. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the next thing we're going to create. I'll learn to type first, though. Okay, let's look at the new page. Formatting's exactly right for this top header area, so that's wonderful. Let's get rid of that. I'm actually going to delete the page because we don't want to keep it around.
So the next thing we can do is we can... Oh, actually, what are we going to do here?
Well, we want to make the content dynamic now.
Right.
So we need to make sure to add the same formatting that we have on the HTML theme. So I'm actually going to go back to my HTML template here, and this entry content class needs to be added. So let's copy everything inside of there, the whole entry content element. This I probably should have said this before now, but if you're not using the same browser I am, which is Firefox with the Firefox tools installed, this is pretty much industry standard. What most people use to inspect elements and to change things, because Firefox comes with a lot of developer tools. So use that. Otherwise, you'll have to figure out a different way to navigate around and do some of the things we do.
And everything comes with its own set of developer tools too. Like I think even
Safari and Chrome do as well. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in and make this content look pretty real quick. Let's tab it over. Okay, so we have an entry content container, a row, a column. There's a lot of stuff there. And then this is just a bunch of paragraphs, which that's going to be put in dynamically from the WordPress editor. So here we'll go ahead and add another PHP element to call the content.
Yeah, so again, the content calls anything that we put inside that WYSIWYG editor, right?
Yep. It has no filter. It doesn't discern. It just puts out whatever you put in. Like Ron Burgundy. PHP, the content. So now we should be pulling whatever content's on this page. And it looks beautiful. Wonderful. So the only other thing we need to do for the About page now is really to grab this content that's actually inside of here, which is all of these P's. I'll just copy that HTML, and we can actually put it in the About page here in the WordPress editor. You have to put it in the text editor since we're using HTML code. We don't need that call MD12 actually. And I guess it could be formatted a little more nicely. And this folder is a relative link, so that's not going to work exactly right. We can actually... Oh, that reminds me of something I really need to do here. Wonderful. Upload this image here, which is in the folder. Align it to the left, which is the way this looks over here. And I will show you one more thing once we do that. And I've actually, that's got a link, doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and look at this again, and it should be pretty close. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret because I'm one step ahead of you here. Yours will not look exactly like this because I've added something I haven't told you about. There is a secret group of CSS classes that all WordPress themes really like to have, and they're WordPress common CSS classes. So when we say align left, WordPress automatically assigns classes like align left, size medium, WP image. So align left right here, as you can see, is in my style sheet with these specific settings. So you need to go into the style sheet right now and add these. So these are WordPress CSS classes. And if you go to the context and jump to WordPress generated classes, right here you have a whole listing of the WordPress core classes that it really wants you to have these in every template you create. Otherwise, when somebody goes in to add content using a visual editor, it's going to look pretty ugly.
Right, and we already knew about this, so we added them to the bottom of our CSS.
Yep.
But it's good for you to know as well.
Exactly. So if you go to the editor, and this is already done in ours, but we'll scroll down to the bottom here, and you can see that the WordPress core, this has all been pasted in. So that's why. So go ahead and paste yours in there, and you're going to see exactly what we're showing you here. So that's pretty much it. Let's look at a couple other pages real quick to make sure everything is looking correctly, because any new page that we create should be outputting the content like this and maintaining our structure. So again, we'll create another new page. And I just want to make sure it outputs this content correctly and formats it correctly. Let's publish. And we'll open that. That's it. So that's going to be really useful for your end users and your clients to be able to create new pages, maintain all your formatting, and any new page that you use will create this. Posts won't use the same template. They'll have their own, they kind of follow their own structure, which we'll get into a little bit later. But that's it for this portion, so we'll talk to you in the next video.